All right, hope you're all well. Wanted to spend few minutes talking about the power reflections that we'll do for this course and give you a little bit more insight into why and how to do them. So let's start with the why. So to begin with, why? Because they're a really big part of how I evaluate your performance in the course. Their points are as much as 25% of your point total can come from these power reflections. So I put a lot of emphasis on these power reflections. Um, but but more practically, so I don't get particularly worked up about grades so much as what you're learning and what you're going to do with it when you leave the university. But power reflections are more valuable because as a habit, you should be getting into the habit of looking for power expressions in the world around you. They're all over the place, right? Power is everywhere. So getting in the habit of looking for power and its expression in your daily life is going to be a really important tool for you to be able to utilize going forward, both to if you choose to deploy your power or if you need to understand how power is being deployed you know, on you, right? What kind of influence is being deployed onto you. So getting in that habit is the big why. So then the second thing is the how. What I'd like you to do is not to think in the global terms, right? In global terms, we're going to be talking in class about the global concepts and using big and some historical examples of the expression of power and those sort of things. But I want you to be not general but very specific. I want you to think in terms of finite ideas. So don't think about the physical force that the National Guard has at its disposal in general terms. That doesn't help us really move forward in our analysis of power. Think specifically about the deployment of National Guard troops in the clearing of Lafayette Square so the president could have a photo op at a church across from the White House. Right? That specific example, you will still be able to touch on the physical force aspect of the National Guard, but you can actually look at this important idea that power expressions are really a multi-layered network of influence, right? So it's not just physical force; it's state action in this case. Is there an element of wealth involved in this? How did numbers play out in this scenario, right? So think about those various sources of power, but think about them as applied to as a specific event. These are not necessarily long reflections, 2 paragraphs to maybe 5 paragraphs, no shorter than 2 and no longer than 5, please. And one thing I would point out is that in the beginning of the semester, the points available for these reflections are relatively small. They grow over time, but if you don't do the early ones, and I can't give you feedback to help you build your analysis strength going forward, and also just as a kicker, I'm going to have some extra credit points for people who do all of them, because I know sometimes people are going to forget to turn their assignments in and things like that. So doing them all and doing them on time is going to that's going to give you just a sort of baseline level of points anyway, right? So do them, get them practiced, get the points, get my feedback, react to that feedback. That'll give you points to build up for your grade, but more importantly, it'll help you build mastery in the analysis of power. All right. As always, if you have questions or you have comments, it's Hayden at hartford.edu.